message.
I call Jackie Dean.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I'm very pleased to stand up to the second reading of the Harmful Digital Communications Bill. I am, however, very disturbed by the contribution that has just been made to the House by the Labor member. And I think what is really particularly disturbing about that contribution is that, first of all, when one has a paucity of argument, one tends to attack the process, and there was a little bit of that. I've heard it before in other contributions by that member. There's a tendency to say we weren't listened to, we were blocked, you know, all of those things. But that's not a real argument. So then we come to the real argument, which is, and I did take notes, is that this bill will criminalise young people who are caught up in the provisions. And I have to say that while I didn't sit on this bill, and this is my first introduction to it, I have done a little bit of reading, but I acknowledge that I didn't go through the select committee process. But from my reading of this bill, what really disturbs me about that member's and that party's response to the threat of cyberbullying is that they don't seem to have an understanding that young people should know right from wrong. I mean, isn't that the job of a parent? Certainly my job when I was growing my children. Don't we teach our children right from wrong? Isn't that what parents do? And whether it is you don't go down to the dairy and nick sweets, or you don't cross the road against the red light, or you don't send abusive messages by text, isn't one of the basic tenets of our society, one of the basic things that we should do as parents, is to teach our children what is the decent thing to do, and that includes not undertaking cyberbullying, whether you're under 14 or whether you're over 14. And I want to hear other Labor members defending that position, because I think it's undefensible. And so the next contention, the next point of argument that that member brought along was there's no education process. There's no education process. Well, I tell you what there is. There is a very strong signal coming from those parties who have got the guts to support this legislation through the House that cyberbullying is not acceptable. And I simply do not accept, furthermore, that member and that party's argument, and I'm interested to hear other people making this argument from that party, which is an argument which is indefensible, that children are going to be caught up in the law system, in the district court system, and caught up in the law. Did they not pay any attention while this bill was going through select committee and its first reading? Because my reading of this bill is that an agency is going to be set up with the expressed purpose of receiving complaints from individuals, which will be managed and dealt with in as much as they can be without having recourse to the district court. That is the whole approach of this bill, recognising therein that cyberbullying and revenge porn and all those other activities are best dealt with if they are being undertaken by young people outside of the court system. So I want to hear the counter-argument to that, because to me it simply does not carry any weight, the arguments that are coming from the other side of the House. This approved agency is being set up, and I was trying to think of parallels that we already have, and maybe it's somewhere along the lines of Project Turnaround or restorative justice. Those are the parallels that I'm thinking about when, immediately I hear that argument, where you get some really decent people in our society who will be appointed onto this agency, that the shape is yet to be determined. And they are the people that will receive these complaints. So it will be done out of the public eye, because we're dealing with kids here, by and large. And we're dealing with school kids here, by and large. And they don't need this kind of, they need a recourse. Please don't tell me they don't, other side of the house. They need a recourse, but of course it's not going to go straight to the district court. I mean, it just defies sense to make that argument. It just simply defies sense. So here we have an approved agency who can receive in their community a complaint. So let's have a look at what that complaint might look like. And it might be something like revenge porn. It might be something like a boy and a girl swap photos of an intimate nature. It all seemed fine at the time. It was all, you know, laughs and giggles or something like that until they break up and then you get the roastbuster scenario. So that person, supported by their parents perhaps, makes a complaint into the agency. The agency then decides whether there are grounds to proceed with an investigation, or is this just simply a matter of a boyfriend taking revenge, immediately takes it down, or is it vexatious? Is it not worthy of complaint? And the argument came across that perhaps political satire would get caught up in this. Well, you know, political satire is an accepted form of communication, and I simply do not believe that it will be caught up in this range, particularly when there are 10 statutory principles which were recommended by the Law Commission, which have been incorporated into this legislation. And those 10 statutory principles are based on criminal and civil law and regulatory rules. And I will read the list, Mr. Speaker. They include a communication that a communication should not disclose sensitive personal facts about an individual, be threatening, intimidating or menacing, be grossly offensive to a reasonable person in the complainant's position, incite or encourage anyone to send a message to a person with the intention of causing that person harm, incite or encourage another person to commit suicide, or denigrate a person's colour, race, ethnic or national origins, and so it goes on. I don't think political satire belongs in that list. So again, I would like to hear the arguments. Are we so sensitive that we are going to object to political satire? I think we need to be a little bit more grown up than that. So young people can make a complaint to this agency. It's done in private. It is done with confidentiality. Hopefully the issue can be resolved to everybody's satisfaction. It remains private. People learn a very good lesson and carry on with their lives. If the agency feels that the issue cannot be resolved in a negotiated matter, then there is resolved to the district court. The district court will have powers to take down, to require individuals or organisations to take down offensive material, and those organisations themselves will have recourse to the High Court to contest that. Mr. Speaker, I simply reject the arguments promoted by the opposition. I think they entirely miss the point, whether that is willful or just they entirely miss the point, I'm not sure. But if they are good, strong arguments for not supporting the very measures that are going to protect our young people from cyberbullying, then I want to hear them. Thank you.